Amid the tense atmosphere enveloping Buckingham Palace, a seismic power shift is quietly taking shape. British media outlets are simultaneously reporting on Prince William's bold new plan, a move that could completely transform the structure of the monarchy in the 21st century. According to these reports, William is discreetly preparing a sweeping reform that includes stripping 6 members of their royal titles: Prince Andrew, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, their 2 children, Archie and Lilibet, as well as Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, the daughters of Andrew. If this plan becomes reality, it will mark the most extensive purge in the history of the modern British monarchy. For William, it is the only way to preserve the image and integrity of the crown in an era when every action and every misstep is magnified under the global spotlight of media scrutiny. But for those involved, especially the ones directly affected, it feels like a heavy sentence, one laden with both political and emotional consequences. Multiple sources suggest that William is under immense pressure from public opinion following a string of scandals tied to Prince Andrew and the long-standing rift with Harry and Meghan. In the eyes of the public, the royal family is in dire need of a fresh image, one that represents a cleaner, stronger, and more responsible generation of leadership. And William, with his modern vision, appears ready to do what his father never dared: cut off the weak links within his own bloodline. However, behind such a daring decision lies a steep price: division, resistance, and deep emotional wounds among those who share the same royal blood. To truly understand the depth of this ambitious plan, let us uncover in detail the changes William intends to implement once he ascends the throne as King William V. Prince William has long been seen as the symbol of a new royal generation: pragmatic, composed, and unafraid of change. Now, as King Charles's health continues to decline, William is gradually shaping the future of the British monarchy through what is said to be the boldest reform in decades: stripping royal titles from those who no longer serve the crown. According to sources from the Daily Beast and journalist Tom Sykes, this plan is far more than mere speculation. William and his close circle of legal advisors have been discussing the use of letters patent, a royal document of the highest legal authority, issued only with the approval of the monarch or parliament. With this instrument, William could legally revoke the title of His/Her Royal Highness from individuals he believes have abandoned their royal duties. Ever since the scandals surrounding Prince Andrew and Harry and Meghan's decision to step away from royal life to reside in the United States, the image of the monarchy has been under constant strain. Surveys conducted by YouGov reveal that over 60% of the British public believe royal titles should only be maintained for those who serve the crown full-time. William, known for his cautious yet decisive nature, understands that this is the moment to act decisively if he wants to ensure the monarchy's survival in the 21st century. His plan is said to directly affect 6 names: Prince Andrew, Harry, Meghan, as well as 3 members of the extended royal line: Beatrice, Eugenie, and Harry's young children, Archie and Lilibet. Although the children are still very young, the question of keeping or removing their titles carries significant symbolic weight. It defines the line between a working royal and a royal in name only. William wants to make certain that only those who truly dedicate themselves to the monarchy will enjoy its privileges, a philosophy he believes will protect the institution from scandal, extravagance, and the growing criticism of a public weary of royal excess. According to experts in British constitutional law, for this plan to become reality, William will need the consent of Parliament. While the royal family enjoys autonomy in many areas, any alteration to titles involving the line of succession or the designation of Royal Highness must be reviewed at the government level. Once approved, the letters patent would take legal effect across the entire United Kingdom. It is a politically sophisticated move, one that is not only lawful but also demonstrates that William's motives are not driven by emotion, but by the long-term interests of the British monarchy. Inside the palace, the plan has sparked intense debate. Some of Queen Camilla's close advisors believe William is going too far by stripping titles from those who are still bound by royal blood. On the other hand, Princess Anne, known for her firm sense of duty, is said to have sided with William. She believes that if the monarchy is to survive in the digital age, where every mistake is magnified, then streamlining is not just necessary, but inevitable. What's notable is that William's vision goes beyond altering titles. He is reportedly pushing for a complete overhaul, cutting budgets for non-working royals, reducing allowances, and redirecting funds toward public service and heritage preservation. He understands that public trust is no longer earned through grandeur, but through transparency and efficiency. A former aide at Kensington Palace revealed that William once said in a private meeting, "The royal family cannot survive on the reputation of the past. We must earn the people's trust every single day." That statement reflects his leadership philosophy, one built not on inherited power, but on merit and service. However, observers have warned that the plan carries potential risks. Revoking titles from Andrew or Meghan may gain public support, but removing those of Archie and Lilibet, innocent children, could backfire, painting William as cold and unfeeling. As one columnist for The Guardian noted, if William wants to be the people's king, he must know where reform ends and division begins. Even so, there is no denying that this marks the beginning of a new era, one where titles are no longer symbols of privilege, but measures of contribution. In the eyes of many Britons, William is showing the qualities of a true reformer, someone willing to confront centuries-old traditions to open a new chapter for the monarchy. When asked why he chose this particular moment, a close source explained, "William doesn't want his children, George, Charlotte, and Louis, to grow up in a royal family divided and detached from its people. He is building a cleaner, stronger foundation for the next generation." William's reform plan is not merely about changing names. It is a declaration of the future he envisions, a smaller, more honest, and more connected monarchy. At 42, he is no longer the shy prince standing behind his father, but a leader quietly charting the course for his dynasty's future. In recent years, William has witnessed it all: Prince Andrew's sex scandals, Harry and Meghan's departure, and the waves of criticism directed at Queen Camilla and his father, King Charles III. Buckingham Palace is no longer the unshakable symbol of power and dignity it once was. It has become the epicenter of public debate over relevance and taxpayer burden. Against that backdrop, William understands that if the monarchy fails to evolve, time itself will erase it. And so, a reform plan was born, bold, resolute, and fraught with risk. According to sources close to the Daily Beast and royal commentator Tom Sykes, William intends to use an ancient yet powerful tool, the letters patent, often referred to as royal warrants. These are documents issued by the sovereign, carrying legal authority to grant or revoke royal titles. Historically, few have dared to touch this mechanism, as it symbolizes tampering with the very lifeblood of the monarchy. But William refuses to delay. When he becomes King William III, a new letters patent will be issued, strictly defining who is entitled to bear the style His Royal Highness or Her Royal Highness. In other words, only those who actively serve the crown will retain the honor, while those who abandon their royal duties, whether prince or princess, will forfeit the privileges they once enjoyed. At first glance, the move may seem like a mere issue of semantics. But for those who understand the intricate power structure of the British monarchy, it is nothing short of a quiet revolution. A royal title is not just a name, it is a key that unlocks privilege, finances, and social recognition. By tightening control over who may use these titles, William is redefining what it truly means to be royal, not by blood, but by duty. William's objectives are unmistakably clear. First, he aims to streamline the royal family by removing members who no longer contribute, preventing public funds from being spent on individuals who live lavishly yet serve no purpose to the nation. Second, William seeks to modernize the monarchy, to bring it closer to the everyday lives of the people. In an age where other European monarchies, like those of Sweden and Denmark, have significantly downsized, Britain can no longer cling to an outdated model. And finally, perhaps most importantly, William wants to safeguard the reputation of the House of Windsor. After the damage caused by Prince Andrew's scandals and the relentless attacks from Harry and Meghan, the royal family's image has been severely eroded. Reform, in his view, is the only way to stop that decay from spreading beyond politics. However, this plan also reveals a deeply personal side of William. He grew up witnessing how his mother, Princess Diana, suffered under the rigid and prejudiced structure of the monarchy. As a boy, he could do nothing but stay silent. Now, with power in his hands, he intends to change that legacy. Those close to him say William doesn't want a royal family of empty titles, but one defined by duty and character. Reform, for him, isn't just about saving an institution. It's about healing generational wounds. According to the preliminary plan leaked to the press, 6 individuals are reportedly being considered for title removal. Prince Andrew, Prince Harry, Meghan Markle, their 2 children, Archie and Lilibet, and Princesses Beatrice and Eugenie, Andrew's daughters. What they all share in common is that none of them are working royals, meaning they no longer perform official duties on behalf of the crown. William believes that if someone no longer serves the monarchy, they cannot continue to carry its name. What may seem like a harsh principle is, in fact, the very foundation of his leadership philosophy for the future reign. Still, not everyone agreed with this decision. Inside Buckingham Palace, there are cautious voices warning that William might be moving too far, too fast. Some fear that stripping these titles could make already fractured family ties impossible to mend, especially with Harry. Yet others strongly support him, such as Princess Anne, the king's outspoken sister, who reportedly stated, "The royal family needs fewer people, but better ones." Outside the palace, public opinion is equally divided. One side argues that William is doing what King Charles should have done long ago, returning the monarchy to its true purpose of public service. The other side criticizes him for being cold and ruthless, especially when his actions could affect innocent children like Archie and Lilibet, who never had a choice in the matter. William knows that every move he makes is like walking a tightrope, but in his mind, it's better to face one painful reckoning than to let the monarchy rot from within. He believes that only by daring to confront the untouchable can the British monarchy survive another century. And even as his plan invites fierce backlash, William remains steadfast in his vision, a smaller monarchy but a stronger one. Yet among the 6 names on that list, there is one that has captured the nation's attention, the very person who pushed William to accelerate his reform, the one whose long and sordid scandal dragged the royal family's honor to its lowest point. That person is Prince Andrew. If there have ever been scandals that shook the very foundations of the British monarchy, then the one involving Prince Andrew, the late Queen Elizabeth's second son, is undoubtedly among the darkest stains in royal history. Once hailed as the Falklands War hero, a strong, respected, and much admired royal, Andrew lost everything the moment his name became linked to the notorious sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The connection between Andrew and Epstein went far beyond mere acquaintance. Countless testimonies, photographs, and reports revealed that the prince had visited Epstein's private residences, even attending parties believed to involve underage sex trafficking. In 2019, when the Epstein case erupted, Prince Andrew's reputation came crashing down. His infamous BBC interview, where he defensively claimed, "I don't recall ever meeting her," became a national scandal that enraged the British public. Once a senior working royal, Andrew was forced to withdraw from all public duties. Soon after, the Queen stripped him of his honorary military titles, and more significantly, instructed that he could no longer use His Royal Highness in any official capacity. Though he technically retained his title as Duke of York, that title became a mere shadow of its past glory once the civil lawsuit with Virginia Giuffre, who accused Andrew of sexually abusing her at age 17, surfaced. The situation worsened when the case was quietly settled out of court, with reports suggesting a multi-million-pound payment. Though Andrew insisted on his innocence, agreeing to a settlement convinced much of the public that he had simply bought his way out of accountability. To the British people, royal honor cannot be purchased, and from that point on, Andrew's name became synonymous with disgrace. Against this backdrop, Prince William's plan to reform the monarchy is widely seen as the final nail in the coffin of Andrew's royal career. According to palace insiders, William supports the complete removal of the Duke of York title, leaving his uncle known simply as Prince Andrew. It's not just a symbolic act. It's a powerful declaration that the monarchy will no longer tolerate any conduct that tarnishes the royal image. Many believe William is acting for the future of the monarchy itself. After years of scandals, from the tragedy of Princess Diana to the controversies surrounding Harry and Meghan, public trust in the royals has eroded. Cutting ties with Andrew's disgraced image is a necessary step toward rebuilding that trust. At the same time, this decision has deepened cracks within the royal family. Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, Andrew's daughters, are said to be heartbroken. They believe their father has been punished too harshly, especially since the matter was settled legally. But for King Charles and Prince William, the honor of the crown must stand above blood ties. Andrew's downfall serves as a stark reminder that in an age demanding transparency and integrity, no one, not even a prince, is above the law. And William's willingness to push his own uncle aside shows that his mission to cleanse the monarchy's image is far more than mere rhetoric. More than anyone, William understands that every royal misstep chips away at the public's faith. If left unchecked, those cracks could one day threaten the very throne he is destined to inherit. And beyond Andrew, another storm is brewing. The Sussex family, Prince Harry, Meghan, and their children may soon face a reckoning of their own. Since stepping down from royal duties in 2020, Harry and Meghan have built a new life in California. They've embraced independence, raising their children, Archie and Lilibet, while pursuing their own ventures. Yet beneath the glitter of Hollywood lies a widening chasm between Harry and his family in Britain, particularly his brother, Prince William. Now, as William moves forward with his sweeping royal reform, aimed at removing titles from those no longer serving the crown, Harry's family finds itself at the center of debate. Under current rules, Archie and Lilibet are entitled to the titles of Prince and Princess as grandchildren of the reigning monarch. But according to reports, William's reform plan may revoke those titles altogether. This would not just be a legal move, but a statement of principle. In William's future monarchy, titles must be earned through duty, not inherited as birthrights. To him, being called a prince or princess is not a privilege by blood, but a responsibility by service. However, this is exactly where the tension between the two brothers has reached breaking point. To Harry, such a move feels like a rejection not only of himself, but of his family as a whole. He has repeatedly insisted that despite stepping away from royal life, he still loves Britain and respects his father, King Charles. Yet in William's eyes, Harry's departure was an act of betrayal, one that deeply damaged the monarchy's image and credibility. According to several sources, when Harry learned about the plan to strip his children of their royal titles, he was furious. He believed innocent children were being dragged into a power struggle among adults. Meghan, meanwhile, reportedly saw it as an insult, a painful reminder that no matter who she married, she would never truly be accepted as one of them. Among the British public, opinion is sharply divided. Some argue that William is absolutely right to streamline the monarchy by cutting off branches that no longer serve the public. They believe Harry and Meghan, since their departure, have only used their royal titles for personal gain and media ventures. Others, however, see William's approach as cold and unfeeling, turning the future of the crown into a calculated machine stripped of compassion. Commentators from The Times and the Daily Beast have noted that William's decision carries deep symbolic meaning. It draws a clear line between those of duty and those of fame. In this new era, the British monarchy can no longer afford to appear bloated or outdated. William understands that the survival of the institution depends on regaining the trust of the people. Yet behind that political calculation lies a growing emotional rift between two men who were once the closest brothers in the royal family. The images of them walking side by side at Queen Elizabeth II's funeral now feel like distant memories. What once was brotherly affection has been replaced by silence, distance, and mistrust. If Archie and Lilibet truly lose their royal titles, it will mark the dawn of a new royal era, one where rank is no longer a birthright, but a responsibility tied to duty. Still, it raises a haunting question. In his pursuit of reform, is William at risk of losing something far more sacred, his family? And as if the storm weren't fierce enough, the list of those affected by this royal restructuring doesn't end with Harry and his children. In the shadows of Buckingham Palace, two seemingly innocent figures, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, now find themselves caught in the same tide of reform. Why are their names on that list? Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie, long known as two of the quietest, most reserved members of the royal family, have suddenly been swept into Prince William's modernization wave. They have never caused scandals, never made controversial statements, and have maintained an image of grace and discretion. Yet in the draft plan reportedly aimed at streamlining and modernizing the monarchy, William has included their names among those who could lose the title Her Royal Highness. And that raises a difficult question. Is this fairness or punishment for sins they never committed? Beatrice and Eugenie are the daughters of Prince Andrew and Sarah Ferguson, and nieces of King Charles III. Both hold the title of princess. But unlike Princes William and Harry, they are not working royals, meaning they do not carry out official royal duties. Instead, Beatrice works in finance and technology, while Eugenie is active in the art world and involved with independent charities. Both are married, live relatively private lives, and have stayed far away from controversy. However, when William began discussing the possible use of letters patent, the legal instrument that allows royal titles to be modified or revoked, the sisters' names surfaced. According to insiders, William believes that a 21st century monarchy doesn't need a long list of titled individuals, but should focus solely on those actively serving the crown. That means figures like Beatrice and Eugenie, despite their royal blood, could be removed from the official roster. What has truly drawn public attention, though, is the emotional weight of this move. For Beatrice and Eugenie, who have never harmed the monarchy's reputation and have remained dutiful family members, this feels undeserved. They've maintained good relations with Charles, William, and even Harry. Many now wonder, are they being forced to pay the price for their father's mistakes? The disgraced Prince Andrew, whose scandal remains one of the darkest stains of the current reign? British media have often described the two princesses as the silent victims of Prince Andrew's scandal. They have lived under the shadow of a disgraced father while striving to prove their independence and integrity. Yet in the eyes of Prince William, who envisions a streamlined, efficient monarchy free from the burdens of a troubled past, stripping them of their titles seems like a necessary move. When compared to Zara Tindall and Peter Phillips, Princess Anne's children, the contrast becomes striking. Zara and Peter were never given royal titles at birth, and that very absence allowed them to lead free, comfortable lives, earning public affection without being bound by royal protocols. Perhaps William hopes to guide Beatrice and Eugenie down a similar path, one where losing their titles would grant them the freedom to live as ordinary citizens, rather than being tied to the heavy image of a monarchy weighed down by history. However, not everyone agrees. Some royal experts argue that this decision could alienate the public from William, as it strips away a sense of compassion at a time when the monarchy most needs unity. After all, if Harry and Meghan chose to step back from royal life, Beatrice and Eugenie did not. They simply opted for a quieter, more private existence without seeking attention or financial dependence on the crown. Meanwhile, William's supporters insist that removing titles is not punishment, but rather a way to draw a clear line between working royals and royals by blood. Such a distinction, they argue, could help prevent future complications, especially as British taxpayers increasingly demand transparency over how public funds are spent on the royal family. Even so, there is no denying that this remains a deeply personal and sensitive issue. For William, it is a strategic move to protect the monarchy's image in a modern era. But for Beatrice and Eugenie, it represents a quiet heartbreak, the painful realization that their royal blood no longer guarantees the recognition it once did. Is this the beginning of a fairer new era, or a sign that the royal family is growing more divided than ever? Only time will tell. In truth, this plan is not without precedent. Throughout history, past monarchs have also made painful decisions to protect the throne, and that is precisely what William now appears ready to repeat. This plan is not without precedent. Let's look back through history to better understand William's strategy. Looking back over a century of royal history, it becomes clear that Prince William's proposed reforms are not entirely new. In fact, they bear a strong resemblance to the sweeping changes implemented by King George V in 1917 during the height of World War I. At that time, anti-German sentiment across Britain forced the king to reshape the monarchy's image to align with public sentiment. He renounced the German family name Saxe-Coburg and Gotha and adopted Windsor instead, a distinctly British name symbolizing loyalty to the nation. Beyond that, he also restricted royal titles, reserving the ranks of prince and princess only for the monarch's direct descendants, effectively streamlining the royal structure and easing the financial burden on the state. King George V's move was seen as bold and revolutionary. It not only ensured the monarchy's survival through a turbulent era, but also ushered in a new age, a smaller, more connected, and less extravagant royal family. Now, more than 100 years later, Prince William seems to be following the same path. In a time dominated by social media, relentless press scrutiny, and heightened public awareness, he understands that the monarchy's future depends on its ability to adapt. William's plan to slim down the royal family, reassessing titles and roles for those no longer serving the crown, reflects the spirit of the times. He recognizes that the monarchy can no longer stand as a symbol of opulence, but must instead embody responsibility and transparency. As Britons increasingly question the cost of maintaining the monarchy, William appears to be taking a pragmatic approach. Preserve those who contribute meaningfully and remove the excess that breeds criticism. From a strategic perspective, this is a shrewd calculation. Whereas King George V faced wartime opposition, William confronts a war of public opinion in peacetime. The pressures of modern media, social platforms, and shifting social values mean the monarchy can no longer maintain its old structure without being labeled outdated. And as scandals involving Prince Andrew and the ongoing rift between William and Harry erode public trust, William has every reason to act decisively. What's remarkable, however, is that unlike the rigid reforms of the past, William's plan carries a modern and humane tone. He doesn't merely seek to cut down the monarchy, but to redefine it for the 21st century, turning it from a distant institution into one that feels more relatable to the people. By reducing the number of official royals, resources can be better focused, transparency improved, and the family's image reshaped into something more genuine and compassionate in the eyes of the public. However, like every major reform, William's plan also carries risks. It could spark resentment within the royal family, especially among those born into royalty, but no longer entitled to the privileges or titles that once came with it. Yet William seems to understand that, in this era, the survival of the monarchy depends entirely on how well it can adapt to the expectations of the people. From King George V to Prince William, though separated by more than a century, both share the same spirit: reform to survive. They each understood that the crown cannot endure on bloodline alone, but on the trust and support of the public. If George V once saved the monarchy from public outrage through bold transformation, William is now trying to do the same, but this time to rescue a fading faith. William's royal reform plan has become the center of one of the most intense debates in Britain. It's not just a symbolic or administrative move, it's a decision that has divided both public opinion and the royal household itself. One side believes William is doing what's necessary to secure the future of the monarchy, while the other views it as a cold-hearted act that severs already fragile family ties. Supporters hail it as a historic and timely step. They argue that the monarchy cannot last if it remains bloated, with too many royals enjoying privileges without public service. As public trust in the monarchy wanes, William wants to redefine what a modern royal family means: leaner, more efficient, and focused on duty rather than titles. In a society that increasingly demands transparency and accountability, he knows that trimming excess is the only way to preserve the institution in the 21st century. Across Europe, monarchies like Sweden, Norway, and the Netherlands have done the same. Only direct heirs retain royal titles, while others return to civilian life. William appears to be following that model, reshaping the British monarchy from a sprawling dynasty into a compact institution centered on national service. For many supporters, this proves that William is not only thinking about the present, but also about the future of his son, Prince George, who will inherit the throne one day. Yet the opposition is equally strong. Many critics see William's decision to strip titles from individuals like Archie, Lilibet, Beatrice, and Eugenie as excessively harsh and devoid of compassion. They argue that innocent children should not bear the weight of adult conflicts. Losing a royal title isn't just about a name, it's about losing identity, belonging, and a sense of place within the family they were born into. In the cases of Beatrice and Eugenie, both of whom have led private, scandal-free lives, the backlash is even stronger. The fact that they may lose their titles because of their father, Prince Andrew, is seen by many as unfair, suggesting that William's reform is not purely structural, but also deeply personal, an attempt to cut away the shameful legacy of the previous generation. Tensions have also risen inside the royal household. The already strained relationship between William and Harry risks becoming irreparable, as this plan directly affects Harry's family in California. For a man who once left the monarchy in search of freedom, Harry will likely see this as final proof that he and his children are no longer considered part of the firm. From a social standpoint, experts are divided. Some say William's plan makes sense from a governance perspective, but lacks emotional sensitivity. The British people have always loved the royals not just for their power, but because they see them as a family, one capable of love, forgiveness, and vulnerability. If William pushes reform too far, he risks turning the monarchy into a cold, mechanical institution, stripped of the very humanity that once made it beloved. Others, however, insist that change is inevitable. In an age where every royal move is scrutinized under the media microscope, survival depends on proving relevance. William's decision to cut away the excess isn't about rejecting family ties. It's about ensuring that the British crown is not weighed down by outdated traditions. Right or wrong, William's reform marks the beginning of a new era for the royal family, one where kinship and duty now stand on opposite sides of the scale. In the end, it will be the reaction of both the family and the public that decides the monarchy's future. Will this be the turning point that breathes new life into the institution, or the start of a deep divide unlike anything in royal history? After more than 35 minutes examining every corner of William's reform blueprint, one thing becomes clear. This isn't just a strategy for power. It's a test of loyalty, honor, and adaptability in a changing world. At face value, William's plan to revoke royal titles is about streamlining the monarchy, ensuring that only those who truly serve the crown can carry the title of His or Her Royal Highness. But beneath the surface, it's a symbolic shift, a declaration that the monarchy is entering a new age, where titles are no longer a birthright, but a reward for service and integrity. Those affected by this plan, from Prince Andrew to Harry, Meghan, Archie, Lilibet, Beatrice, and Eugenie, each represent a different story. Andrew embodies the downfall of scandal, Harry and Meghan, the rejection of tradition, and Beatrice and Eugenie, the struggle of living between two worlds, royal duty and personal freedom. It's at this crossroads that William must choose the path forward for the British monarchy. Looking back at history, William is not the first to make such a bold move. Over a century ago, King George V also reduced the number of royals allowed to hold official titles, preserving the monarchy's image amid political upheaval in Europe. Today, William is repeating that act, but in a world where the battle is no longer political, but fought in the arena of public opinion, media scrutiny, and shifting values. Still, not everyone agrees with his vision. Some see it as a necessary, even courageous, act to restore trust in the monarchy. Others view it as an exclusionary move, cold and unfeeling, especially when it affects young children like Archie and Lilibet, who never had the chance to choose their roles. The royal family's divisions may deepen further than ever before. Yet to many, this is exactly what defines a William as a future king, a leader willing to put the survival of the institution above personal emotion. In the end, one question remains. Is William truly on the right path? Or is he embarking on a reform that could cost the royal family its very soul? The answer is still uncertain. But one thing is clear. This is a defining moment for the British monarchy, a crossroads where every decision William makes will shape the legacy of a new era. If you're intrigued by the power struggles and hidden truths behind palace doors, share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest stories. Because in the world of royalty, power can be passed down, but trust, once lost, may never return.